Hi, and welcome back to the sixth component, where the sixth component is you. I'm Kaitlin.
And I'm Laura, and today we get the privilege to talk to you a little bit about local food and really the benefits. There's so many great benefits, but we want to focus just on what matters to kids and for kids specifically first, the benefits of local foods for kiddos. So Kaitlin, tell us a little bit about your experience first of like local foods and what that journey has been for you in the districts you've been a part of.
Yeah, so it's we've talked a little bit before about how Laura in like her second year working in nutrition was my internship site. So I started with local foods when you did.
Yeah.
We have a task force in our area with 8 to 10 local school districts that come together and really just talk about what our needs are and how do we get the food into our programs, which has been great for us. I would highly recommend it to anyone who doesn't have something like that. Just get together with your local school districts. But I think one of the most beneficial things that has come out of it is just getting fresh food on the plates for kids.
And we've done our trial and error on some products. Today we're just really going to focus on the benefits of those, but we will do, I think, another episode on maybe some of the challenges as well. So please know we're going to keep the glass half full this entire episode, and we're really, really going to focus on those areas that are the best and why it's the best for kids. But I do agree. I think, there's two pieces that you talked about. The first being to get with the other group mates and other directors and managers locally, because with that comes buying power, with that comes support. And maybe more farmers and local producers will be willing to work with you if there is much more just schools going down this path. So if you're not in an area that even does local school, local farm to school efforts, start really small and just know that you can work together as a team, number one, and because the benefit is to keep it fresher. The second real big benefit, I think, and this is something that I think it helps us to sell our menu and sell our meal, is that it is a just better quality product.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good quality product. So I'm going to kind of put a little plug out there for Produce Safety University through the USDA. If no one has attended that before, it is well worth your time. It's completely free to your school district. They will pay for you to travel. I know I did mine online because of COVID at the time, so I don't know if they've moved it all to virtual now, but they talk a lot about how the food that gets grown in different areas of the country or in different countries gets harvested and then sits on a truck and it's touched 40 to 50 people's hands before it gets into your cafeteria, and it was picked 4 weeks before it was ready to eat. So that quality and that freshness of the local food is going to be so much higher than anything that you're buying from your producer, your distributor, and anything that's, DOD, or not DOD, direct diversion, brown box, that kind of stuff. Anything that comes in frozen, while it's a great product and it's still healthy for the kids, and obviously we still have to use it, that fresh food and the quality of that on the tray every once in a while is fantastic.
And ultimately the shelf life. So we found that with our local foods, and most specifically, I'm thinking of lettuce. Lettuce normally, right, if you get it from your distributor, it can go wilty and pretty, slimy pretty quickly. Some of these lettuces that are really farm to table, from anywhere from 50 to 20 miles away. I mean, they're lasting weeks in your refrigerator.
Yeah.
So shelf life is a big deal.
Yeah. So we're going to talk someday too about, we have a large hydroponic farm and we grow our own lettuce. So it's very local. It's from our cafeteria or our high school, and it can last for up to 5 weeks in the cooler. And that's huge.
It is, especially as we had a significant amount of supply chain issues. And actually one of them, if we want to stick to this lettuce conversation, one of the major supply chain issues that we've had in the last few months in the Midwest has been lettuce. And so not only were lettuce prices 3 times the cost, but you couldn't get lettuce. You
Right.
simply, you were getting arugula or kale. And I'm pretty sure that that's not an acceptable product for for kindergarteners in
Right.
many areas. And so really it's not only fresher, better quality, better shelf life, but the last piece that we've found for the benefits of the student and the staff member is there's an option to go organic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of the main manufacturers that we work with, and we happen to work with the same manufacturer, I've actually had a conversation with them about specifically with fruits and vegetables, and they do not have options of organic at all. Versus where we go locally now, they do. And some of their farming practices are organic, some are not certified organic,
Right.
where they're sustainable practices, where they do all the organic kind of agriculture for developing those products, but they don't necessarily or aren't necessarily certified.
Right, just because of the cost of the
Correct.
certification.
And
Yeah.
the years of time having all of those rules that are needed to be technically certified. But the point being is that you can market in a way that is showcasing sustainable, local,
Right.
fresh food on your menu.
So what are some of the benefits for us, Laura?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits for us. I think locally, from an economy perspective, it helps to give back to the community, and it's really about local dollars. I'm a farm girl at heart, so I grew up on a farm. I had to milk cows, and I had to shovel poop, and all of those things that you hear about growing up on a farm. And I did all of those things, and I think so. There's a part of me. There's a soft spot for farm to school and local foods, but it truly matters where the money, instead of going to, like you said, those 30 or 40 people that are touching that product across the way, that money is going direct from the farmer to the school district.
Yeah, and we're fortunate enough to live in an area where we have large farming communities around us. So a lot of our students, some of our students, depends on the district that you're in around here, but some of our students definitely come from farms. So we're giving it right back, the money right back to their families, which is fantastic.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Absolutely so good. The second area of really helping us as a school nutrition department is, and this is Caitlin's, not mine. I'm not even going to say it because she's way cooler than I am. But it's the cool factor. Caitlin.
It does. It makes you look cool when you have all these different, new trendy items. You stay relevant, maybe is the correct. I don't think I'm cool, but
she's way cooler than I am.
Well, it's debatable. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, if you're putting all these brightly colored, fresh produce items, you are attracting the kids to come in and say, wow, this food looks really good today. I want to eat here.
Absolutely. And I think it does. Relevant is a really great word. It keeps you relevant. It keeps you trendy. We are trying to, and I don't want to use the word battle, but press against the old mindset of lunch ladyland, sloppy joes, all of those things where that is not the case. We are feeding, and we can be feeding 4 to 5 course star dinners. And this is one of those easy ways to be able to create an amazing menu and amazing fruits and vegetables, of which we all know we have minimums that we have to provide, and it is not going to go away. That's just a part of the food that we get to serve kids. And so it really helps to keep that specific area on the tray, on the plate, relevant and cool.
Yeah, and what's also cool about it, not to use that word again, but here we are, is that, we've had so many issues with supply chain in the last 2 years or so. And food has gotten so expensive.
Yes.
So it used to seem that farm to school products were, maybe out of our budget. But now I think if you really take a look at it, they're very, very close to what you're spending on bulk products from somewhere else. And if you can get them on your menu now while the price is the same, maybe you can find, area on your budget. Hopefully the prices will come down a little bit. But if we can get that in, you can definitely find the room in your budget to continue it because you'll see how much your kids like it.
That's so good. So we understand that there may be budget constraints out there where you're thinking, are you too crazy? Like, how am I supposed to get local food in here? But that is such a good point. The example of the lettuce a couple months ago, where it was 3 times the cost because it was a supply demand issue. So it's either no lettuce, no lettuce on your sub bars, no lettuce on your salad bars, no lettuce on your taco bars, or you could either purchase it local where there is that sustainability piece where you know you're going to be able to get it, or you're at the mercy of the larger producers that it comes from a western southern state, and you're at their mercy.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I totally appreciate and respect that, the sustainability piece, and then the expectation of your customer for local products will keep those products even when they go up a little bit higher in price. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, what else? What else helps us with local food?
The staff like to see it too. So I always feel like anytime you can get staff into your kitchen to eat, whether it's the teachers or the principals or the aides or whoever it might be, if they can come in and eat, that's so encouraging to the kids. And I feel like the staff is so much more likely to come in and eat when you have that fresh stuff on your menu.
Yeah, and when you market it, put it on your written menus. We still have written menus, paper copies for our elementary kids. That was a piece of feedback that we had received a few years ago. And so on those paper copies, we actually have a whole section on the bottom where we say the highlight of the month or the local food of the month happens to be this. And we also post it on our online menus in addition to our TV screens in many of our schools as well, where we can highlight those local items, not only for kids, but also for staff. So definitely a great way to communicate to parents and kids and the staff that we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
We're giving the best quality product.
We're really trying. Yeah.
We are. We sure are. So, some examples of, we want to kind of shift the conversation from the benefits to maybe some examples, Kaitlin, that you have done that have been successful in your team.
Yeah, so I think, we talked about this farm to school task force that we've been on for a number of years now. And I think when we first started, we were very specifically honed into replacing like all of our frozen diced carrots that we get from commodities. And how are we going to budget that? Because those prices are so much lower than anything we could get through local food purchasing. We really shifted our gear now into thinking that, that's probably not feasible at this point, and we need to start with something maybe that's a little bit more seasonable. So we have a wonderful platform. We've had a group of farms come together in our area that sell specifically to schools and restaurants and hospitals. And they list what's available that week, and you can go online and order and just, pick the foods that fall into the correct season for you.
And the way that we menu, because seasonality changes. Now, that is one, tricky piece, and we'll talk about the challenges, but that you never know necessarily what's going to be on the list that you can order. But a great simple way to menu that is local, seasonal, crisp vegetable, or something really simple where it's a little bit more generic on your menu, and then you maybe put a section on the bottom of your menu saying the following could be that local crisp seasonal vegetable, beet sticks, yam sticks, kohlrabi sticks, whatever it happens to be, but that gives you a little bit of flexibility and still allows the flexibility for the farmer as well.
Yeah, and remember, we live in an area that's cold. So we don't have a large growing season. The majority of the time that we get to purchase more local products is going to be during our summer programs, early in the fall, late in the spring. So we do things during the winter as well. It's just not going to be as much. So we really have to follow, the seasonal trends of our area as well.
Yeah, and then you just have to be thoughtful on how you plan your menu. We, for example, do apples. And so we know in the beginning of the school year, well, all summer, to your point, in summer school, we've got local apples, a little bit at the back end. And then September, October, November, December, we can get local apples for the most part. But we know that starting probably the second half of the year, we're not going to be able to receive those apples. So we just plan accordingly. And then in that time where we know that we cannot receive local apples, we'll do commodity apples out of the can, or we'll purchase those local, or those just whole apples from our primary vendor at that time in the dead of winter.
Yeah. What else do you serve farm to school?
Yeah, so I just kind of shared a few of the sticks that we do. So we'll do beets, turnips, greens of all sorts of salad greens. We also do leeks or onions, peppers. Aside from our apples, we've not really gotten into too many other fruits, but we have done cranberries.
Ooh.
And we actually created a cranberry recipe for Thanksgiving. And that was a lot of fun, and the kids really enjoyed it. We also were able to do some recipe testing with that and then highlight one of our staff member in that kitchen.
Sure, yeah.
So it was allowed to get them involved in the local process. And when we served it in little 4-ounce or 6-ounce cups with a dollop of whipped cream.
Ooh, nice.
So it was a really great festive local experience for the kids. And it's been a really great treat for us as a department to really expand our recipes, our recipe testing, and getting our staff involved as well. Yeah. What about you, Kaitlin?
We do cheese curds.
Yeah.
I feel like that totally names the state that we live in. But
Close, right? Right. Lots of cheese.
We do cheese curds. And Laura, you have a really interesting story about cheese curds.
Yeah. So we in our school district, we get cheese curds that were from 1 mile from my actual home. So my home is where we would, when they had dairy cows, when I lived there, and I would milk the cows, that cheese or that milk was getting turned to cheese in this local factory. And now we actually purchase from that factory and we get cheese curds from there. And every single time they come in, not only do they squeak, but it warms my heart because I know that money and that product is going back to a local business that I know their owners. I know that family.
Yeah.
And I know that they really appreciate working with us. And when we purchase it, we purchase by hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
So it's not a little bit, but then we in our department take those cheese curds and we individually ounce them. And then we put them on our breakfast and lunch menus. And they still squeak the very next day. So I know when we get them in our department, they are less than a day old. When they get to that kid, they're less than 2 days old. And they are an amazing product.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what else? We've moved now on to from cheese curds because we've got that system locked in to good to go. I'm curious, Kaitlin, what is your next local product you're trying to get or thinking about getting into your
I would love to try beef. I would love to do local beef. And I know there's a number of school districts in our state that do beef. They've taken the plunge, and I am very interested to kind of see how that goes. I have a hard time moving to that because I know the cost is going to be higher. But we recently started making ordering in raw hamburger patties for our high school, and they're not local, but we ordered the raw ones and are cooking them fresh on site that day. And the kids love it. So to try something local meat would be really exciting for me.
I think that's a great idea. I'm actually going to, this is the beauty of this podcast. I learn things as we're talking. I'm like, yes, great idea. I'm going to come with you and do that together. Which again, right? Bring your friends.
Yep.
But we are going to start migrating to maple syrup. So we do a brunch for lunch on a regular basis. And I know that we had interns come in and do some costing where they looked at the high fructose corn syrup option. They looked at the pure sugar option, which is in a little 1 ounce cup, and then they looked at maple syrup.
Okay.
And so we were doing the high fructose corn syrup, and we shifted now to just a straight sugar 1 ounce product where there's no extra like preservatives or chemicals or all of that. And I'd like us to now shift to the next phase, which is pure maple syrup.
Well, I'm going to come with you to that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm coming with you for the hamburgers, and you're going to come with me for the maple syrup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, don't bite off more than you can chew.
No, it's good to start small. And I think we learned that the hard way when we tried to change the world in one day.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But it wasn't going to happen. It took us 10 to 15 years to figure out the process that we have now for our farm to school program. And I feel like it was a lot of time spent like pounding our heads against the wall, like this is not going to work. And then all of a sudden one day it just clicked.
It did.
And now we're in this place where we can get, local cheese and
Yes.
yeah.
And
So,
vegetables.
mhm.
I do think that there is a significant, like to your point, there's a large foundation that has to be created. So it goes from sanitation and safety from the farm to the fork.
Yep.
That we want to make sure that we are safe with. And then also, think about just your accounting team or your finance team. They've got to create new account codes and people. And then all the way to then lastly, your staff, where you really need to explain to your staff the why
Yes.
so that they understand the how and the what. And so that they're coming along on this lovely local journey with you and that they're willing to understand and see the benefits of the products for the community, for the kids, and that they're willing to do maybe a little bit more work or know that there's going to be another delivery in their kitchen for that day that's not going to be coming from that primary vendor anymore.
Right. Yeah, so start small with the staff. Start with, cherry tomatoes or cucumbers that they can slice quickly. Don't ask them to cut beet sticks on their first day of doing this.
Right. Or
yeah.
cook hamburgers that are raw and they haven't seen a raw product
in your kitchen
in decades.
Yeah.
In decades.
Mm-hmm.
So start small. That really is absolutely fantastic. So challenge, Kaitlin. What is our challenge this week?
Find something new to bring into your school that's a local product.
Love it. One thing. Go have that conversation with your farmer.
Yeah.
Try to figure out, are there multiple farmers?
Yeah.
Who can actually service you? Depending on your school district size, you may find that you love this particular farmer because they're closer to your school district, but they can't provide the total amount of product that you need. So you can even start as small as one of your schools. You don't have to do the entire bandwidth of 30 or 40 or 50 schools. Just start super small, start super safe. Feel confident and comfortable with it, but just keep that ball rolling.
Yeah,
forward.
and one thing I'd like to bring up too is that it doesn't necessarily have to be fruits and vegetables. I think people in inner cities have a hard time finding that stuff locally. We have a company in the district that I work in that makes homemade gelato, and I'm trying to get them to work with us to bring some in for a dessert. So it can be something completely, different than, fresh produce. It
might be bread.
It might be bread. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we wish you the best on that little challenge. And remember, we are all of us going good to better, better to best. And with that being said, thank you so much for listening today.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers, Kaitlin.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody.